Hello and welcome to the 7th video of my MTA Introduction to Programming Using Java. So in this one we're going to be looking at creating objects from a class. So in my last video we talked about how to create a class and what is a class and what is OOP. In this video we're just going to be focusing on how you create these objects from these classes. So do remember that the way I do this is I try and tell you all the key points that you need to do or you need to know as quickly as possible, and then we look at some code and I ask you some questions so we can start cementing that information and you can learn it as quickly as possible. So let's go to it. There's only one key point that you need to remember when creating an object, and it's very similar to creating a variable. So when you create a variable you need to create the data type, then the variable's name, and then the value. To create an object, you still need to put that data type, then you need to put the object's name, then the new, which is new, and then the class's name, and then the values that if that class needs values. So for example, we have one here. So the data type, this is the object of the class. So we're saying that this is going to be an object, but what kind of object? It's going to be the object that represents the class. Then we're going to have the object's name. This can be called whatever you want. Then we have a new keyword, and then this is the name of the class that you create. So this and this should be the same. Lastly, you need to add any values that the class needs. Now, using this information, I'm going to show you some code and see if you can answer the questions. So this is our class. This is a second class that we created. This class is called vid. This class is called a. What I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video and see how many of these questions we can create. So hopefully you've paused the video. Let's go through them. So we know that this is going to be the starting point because it's got the main method, so that's the starting point. And here we are creating a bunch of classes, or we're creating a bunch of objects based on this class. So this is just creating objects. So how many objects have we created? Well, if they all worked, we would be creating 4 different objects because they have 4 different names. What is the name of the class we have created, and what is the name of each of the objects? So remember, the name of the class is this vid, and so the name of the objects, we've got one good example, so this is a correct example. We've got lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. So apart from the first object, all of the other objects have an issue. Can you correct these issues? So the first one here, the problem with this object here is that it's not the same as the name. So I'm just going to get rid of the ink. This vid1, it should not be vid1, it just should be vid. It has to match up with the name. Number 2, again, misspelling of the character or the class's name here. So this has to match up here. And the last one, number 3, the problem here is with the values here. So with this class here, you see how this class and this method has the same name. What this means is if you create an object, this will automatically be called. So this will automatically run. And guess what? How many values is that expecting? It's expecting 3 values. How many values do we have here? Well, this is value 1, this is value 2. So we're not putting the right amount of values in to this object, and that is why it is creating this error. Now, if we look here, what should happen, so if we got this example here, this values goes into the first one, which is title, this value goes into the second one, which is author, and this value goes into the third value, which is like. And then what happens is we put these values into the actual constructor, which is what this called this automatic method. And what this does here, this links back up to those attributes. So these titles, these are variables. But here if we say this title, we're referring to this class's title, and so we're referring to this attribute here. So hopefully you are able to kind of see how that all moves around the code. So what do you think the objects represent? So what we have is, I was hoping to try and get each object represents a video that I'm creating. And so that's what you could do. You can create one class that represents, has all the attributes and has all the methods that you need, and then from that class you can create many objects. Do you think objects are a good way to structure code? There are many different other ways of structuring code. Some languages do things differently. Some people like to do it in OOP, some people prefer other methods. It's interesting to kind of look at the different programming paradigms that are available, and I will include different paradigms in the below the line where you can research and find out more information about that. Okay, so let's check your knowledge. So if you can remember all the 5 things you need to do to create an object, I think you've done a good job of understanding the knowledge in the video. If you can create multiple objects from the same class, that's even better. And if you're able to read your class and know how many values you need to send to that class when creating the object, that's brilliant. So if you can answer this one, leave a comment in the links or below the line. So again, if you're finding these videos useful, please subscribe to the channel and like. And if you want to continue learning, I will see you in the next video.